Welcome to the 1,000 Feet Deep podcast, where we get real about leadership, team, and culture. We don't just talk about success, we talk about the foundations that carry it. So whether you're leading people, building a business, or growing yourself, take a deep breath, dig deep, and let's get started. Eric Grothe, how are you, mate?
Good, Dan. How are you?
Mate, this is
nice to meet you, mate.
Real pleasure, mate. This is a massive honour.
Mine too, thank you.
Thanks for your time. So, mate, 1986, I was 9 years old.
Oh, jeez.
It was my first time I actually remember a proper game of footy. Like, you know, I was going for Parramatta, like I think everyone was back then.
Okay.
And I remember winning the grand final and walking to school the next day, cloud nine, thinking, how good's this?
Oh, good.
It was like
awesome.
footy, eh? Footy was like, it's your whole world when you're a kid.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So what about you, mate? You know, obviously you've reached the heights as a footy player, but how did it all start?
Mate, yeah, my parents are German descent, and I was born and bred in Liverpool, which isn't far away from here. And I just, for whatever reason, I was playing soccer when I was 8, and at 10 years old, I was asked to come over and play footy for Mount Pritchard, which is next to Liverpool, it's about 15, 20 minutes from here.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, I'll play a bit of rugby league. I started watching it on TV. And Steve Ella, my teammate, was actually in the Mount Pritchard team that they asked me to join. And, I wasn't mates with him then, but we became mates. And from that point on, I just loved it and loved watching St George play. I was a St George fan because our club colours for the junior team I played for was all red with a white V. Yeah. Where St George is the opposite, red V and all white. And I just fell in love with them, watching guys like Billy Smith and Graham Langlands and all those sort of guys. And and just from 10-year-old to 17, I was playing for a club, Mount Pritchard. Then went to East Mount Pritchard, which was a sister club of those. And we had a great side. We won the comp 6 years in a row.
Did you really?
Enjoying all that with Steve Ella as well. And when we were 17, the grand final, we got beat in the last game, and which was the grand final, and we got called up, Stephen and I, to sit on the bench for the under 23s in those days. Yeah. They'd made the finals, and they were short of some players, so they just asked Stephen and I to sit on the bench. We didn't think we'd get a shot, and the very first final we were playing against East, the Roosters, and the centre or hurt himself, and he looked at me straight away and said, "Eric, go on the wing, put the winger into the centres." And I went, "Oh, wow!" I thought I was just going to have an afternoon on the bench, just sitting and watching. It was just a great feeling to be there anyway. Yeah. And went on. And from there, I just got the feel for it and wanted to be part of that. And Steve Ella got on actually later on in the game too. We ended up winning the game. And from there, it just flowed on from that.
Was that reserve grade or first grade?
That's 23s. Oh, so it was under 23s, and it was a reserve grade then.
For Parramatta, that was for Parramatta.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So you mentioned Steve Ella. So did you play? The guys that you're famous for playing for. Did you know any of those guys prior to first grade?
No. I mean, and then coming into the next season after that in '78, they used to have these bubblegum cards, where you get the players that are playing for first grade, and I used to get that at the corner shop when I was going to school and stuff. And first training session at Parramatta was seeing all these guys that were on these bubblegum cards that I had, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, how good is this?
Would have been a spin out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn. Yeah. So who would that have been at the time?
Guys like Mick Cronin.
Yeah, Mick Cronin.
The Cyclewitz brothers, Ted and Ed. Jeff Gerard. All that. Graham Olling, Ronnie Hilditch.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those guys.
Yeah, Mick Cronin, he's a bit older than you then, is he?
Mick, he's, I think he's about 6, 7 years old. Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, okay. So they had already sort of cemented their career by the time you came along pretty well.
They were right into it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, isn't it funny how you get a start? And back in those days, it was, semi-professional. Would you call it semi-professional back then?
what day you played on the weekend.
Yeah.
It might be only 2 nights a week or 3 nights a week. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you're doing it. You know you're gonna make it eventually, I guess. But to do that, you're training for years. You're in the side. They're blooding you, and you just get called up pretty well just through the ranks.
Yeah, it just happened very quickly like that.
So your first grade game, your debut. What was that? 1979.
Yes,
Yep.
79. Yeah, I remember. I've said this before, but someone's corrected me. My first game was against West or something, but I remember a trial match against Cronulla.
Yeah.
And I remember Terry Fernley was the head coach at that stage, and he came up to me and said, "Are you ready?" I said, "No, I'm not ready." I was a bit scared about it all, and but he said, "No, you'll be okay."
Yeah.
And then I got picked in the trial. We played Cronulla, playing against players like the Sorensen brothers, Kurt Sorensen and Dane Sorensen and Steve Rogers, guys like that.
Yeah, wow.
I thought, wow, I had to pinch myself, and we got beat in that particular game, but it was a real, for me, it was just a great confidence boost, yeah.
Yeah, right. What was it like? So you've been in, let's say you've been in first grade now for 12 months, 18 months, all that kind of stuff. So what was the expectation step up for you? Like, I mean, it was a hard game in the 80s. Like, I mean, how was it? Confidence-wise, training-wise, was it a shock to the system, or did you take to it like duck to water? Or?
No, I can't say it was a shock to the system. We trained pretty hard in those days, yeah. We did a lot of boxing and stuff like that. So mentally, at that stage for me, I was pretty confident. So it was all sort of unfolding for me. And the toughness of it, I think about it later, especially the game these days and the way it's played and so forth. And when I retired, I realised how tough it was in those days, more so the 70s. In the 80s, it sort of got boomed into the lounge rooms of the people, so they had to clean it up a little bit. So it was starting to get cleaned up in the 80s, where the 70s and 60s it was just no holds barred, just get into it. So it had been cleaned up, but there was still a lot of niggle and all that sort of stuff. So but I seemed to handle it at that stage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like blokes like Tommy Rodonicus and fellas like that. I mean,
they're mad. Wow. He was mad. Yeah, just a great bloke too, but just mad.
Did you play Origin with Tommy?
No.
Yeah,
he didn't play. He didn't play Origin, Tommy. He played the normal New South Wales Queensland format.
So before that,
and it was
official Origin.
After that, when he was towards the end of his career, they brought the state of Origin in. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What? So you were part of one of the greatest teams, maybe ever. That Parramatta side. Who are some of the standouts in the team? I mean, we as spectators can have our views, but you as a player.
Yeah. Look, mate, To be part of a team and the quality players that were there, for me was such a godsend, because I started losing a little bit of confidence, and for whatever reasons. So to see that, to be lining up and running out in the footy field every time we played, and to see those guys around me just really jumped my confidence up.
Yep.
They were just fantastic. I mean, Ray Price, Peter Sterling, Brett Kenny, Mick Cronin, Steve Ella, mate. If one of them had a bad game, the other one, took the game by the scruff of the neck. So it was very rare that any of them would have a poor game. But they were always on, and really it was just unfolding in front of me. Being on the wing, things happened inside me, and I just really had to back up and follow and just keep near them.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, everyone does have a bad game, don't they, and bad seasons, and absolutely. Confidence is a big part of life, It's a big part of success, It's like,
100%.
How do you keep on going when your confidence is down? It's a really hard knock. But if you've got a team around you, people who can support you and help you through, it's got to help.
It lifts you up, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. So, back as a kid, Peter Sterling, I think he was the poster boy of, Parramatta back in the 80s, at least for me as a little fella.
Yep.
How was he as a leader on the field? I mean, he was a great player. Was he the one directing the show, mate, or was it?
Well, he very early in the piece he showed way above his years as a
Is that right?
as a player, and the way that he acted on the footy field, but he was always just just right into the into thinking about the game and the way that it played out.
Real footy head.
Yeah, just a complete footy head. Him and Steve Edge was a magnificent leader.
Yeah.
He did, he wasn't the greatest athlete, but he could handle what was happening at those times, and he just led by example. Ray Price was another one. He was mad, and he got bashed and belted, but you just watch him make a run after he was belted, or he'd made 25 tackles. He's going for another run, or he's made another 10 tackles, and you can't do anything other than spur you on to have another, have a go. Especially when you're on the wing like I was, you weren't doing the stuff that these guys were doing, so it motivated you to have a go.
It's what team is, isn't it, mate? As you know, we sort of do business and leadership stuff, and I feel like when you grow up playing footy or any type of team sport, you kind of know what it is to go into battle, don't you? And you got people who have got certain strengths and weaknesses, and you're taking your cues from some guys, and you're inspired by others. And I find what happens, mate, when you get into business and you feel a little bit isolated, and you forget that really business is just a team sport.
Yep.
Everyone's meant to play their part. So with you when you're playing, and not only play their part, but also know what they're good at and know what they're not.
Yep.
So watching your game, like you're a power runner. Like, I mean, mate, I'm not peeing your pocket, but damn, I don't know how big you were compared to every other bugger, but you're pretty unstoppable. And then you had, Peter Sterling, who was only a fairly small guy, really.
Yep.
Brett Kenny, he wasn't a real good big fella.
He was slight. He was tall, but he was slight.
Yeah, but a game breaker. He was a real footy head, wasn't he?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Most natural talent that I've ever seen in a player.
Yeah, that's what it seems to me, yeah.
Yeah, even before a training, we used to get there early and we used to play a bit of cricket and stuff. And he had a softball background.
Okay.
Baseball, sorry. And his arm when he threw was amazing. And we'd muck around with the cricket, playing a bit of cricket before training. And there'd be 6 slips and there'd be a batter and then a bowler up that end, maybe a couple of fielders. And you just sort of chip it, and then someone would try and catch the ball or whatever, And Brett would be sort of just in slips and just standing there, and then he wouldn't move his body or his eyes. He'd just go bang like that, and the ball would go in his hand. Yeah. Or if it was out fielding and he threw it back, it'd go on this curve and go perfectly into your. He just had this skill, his eye-hand coordination, and he did that on the footy field with his legs and his ability to read the game. And he did a lot of interceptions, and
you did, yeah.
And he was very, very good at working out what was taking place.
Yeah, he just had a good read for the game, didn't he?
100%.
He's by no means underestimated, but kind of is at the same time. Like I'm surprised he's not talked about more, because he was some freak.
He was special, yeah, absolutely special.
He really was. And he's a real footballer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But getting back to that team thing, I mean, that's actually what makes teams good, doesn't it? And I feel like, as business people, we sort of forget, we lose touch that not everyone in the team is meant to be good at everything, but we're meant to be good at what we bring to the team.
Yep.
And make that our thing. You had your thing, no doubt. But when we lack our confidence in that, it's often because we don't know where we fit. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. Yep. Or maybe we're comparing ourselves to somebody else who's, really good at something that we're just not good at,
Yep.
So for you were not just a winger. You were the best winger in the comp, and at a representative level and for a long time. So you said your confidence dropped off a bit. You're not sure why. What do you think? What do you think may have attributed to that? Because you're such a good player.
Well, yeah, to pinpoint exactly the moment. Well, it wasn't a moment, but it was. I was pretty much mollycoddled by my mum. Mum was a real mum. She sort of overdid it probably a little bit. God rest her soul. But she mollycoddled me a little bit, and I sort of come back to that and think, I was maybe a little bit soft in the belly. And then there was a period of time when I realised I wanted to play footy. Then it sort of I grew a little bit in stature and stuff like that, and my confidence and stuff. And then, for whatever reasons, it just, I started more so towards the after the 81, 82, 83 dominance that we had. I started. We lost a couple of players, and the game and the team was a little bit different, and I lost a little bit of confidence with that, and just generally had this yeah, this it was. It's hard to put my finger on, but I just everyone looked bigger.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and I just put myself in this little. I was looking all the time and saying, if I was playing another winger, he looked bigger or whatever, he looked better, and I'd play the game before I actually played the game.
Yeah.
I'd played him in my head, and that's where I had all these battles with before I actually had a battle on the footy field.
Yeah, yeah, it's so interesting, mate. You know, we have a concept in our business called hand, head, heart. And so the concept is this: it's skill set, mindset, and character. And when we think about success, it's funny. Skill set is only one aspect, and yet it's the one that we concentrate on most, which is understandable for footy and for business. Of course, you need skill set. But it's our mindset that lets us down the most. They reckon that up to 80% of success comes down to how you think. And it's funny, you talk about running through your mind, say, negative thoughts about competition or your opponent, and you talk yourself into stuff that's not even real.
No.
And we do it every day, mate. It's like unbelievable.
You know, I pull myself up every day about some sort of negativity or something that I still do it these days.
Yeah.
I'm a lot better than what I was, but yeah, you do. You go through these, well, I did, these battles in your head before you actually get to a battle of some sort.
Yeah. I think we all do, mate, to be honest. And these days they're kind of onto it a little bit in sport, aren't they? You know, like they've got mental coaches and all that kind of stuff to try to help them to combat that.
Yeah, 100%.
But I mean, we are confidence people, aren't we? We sort of yeah. I've heard of another concept you would have heard as well. It's just that imposter syndrome, you know. So we turn up in life, and sometimes it can be us at the height of what we're doing, and we just for whatever reason feel like, what am I doing here? I don't deserve this. I don't fit here. You know. Again, it's just a mind trick. It's a mind game.
Yeah, putting people on a pedestal when they are humans like yourself, and they're doing things like you are, but just in a different field or whatever. But yeah, I have this thing of putting myself down here and looking up. All the time.
Yeah. You say you've worked on that over the years.
Yeah, well, it's just gotten better. I mean, as you get older, you get a little bit wiser, and you think you let things go that bothered you before, but now it's. I think back and I think how silly of me to have thought anything like that, you know. Yeah. And you just apply a little bit of that to what I do and stuff like that. So it's the wisdom and getting older and the wisdom following that just helps you with all those things.
Yeah, mate. You know what I love? I love the fact that, you know, for a guy like yourself who's had the success you've had, I love it when successful guys come back and tell the full story. Because I reckon that's what you're talking about today. I know, mate, not in any way comparing what your success to anything I've done, but I know for me, I've had a real battle with that, you know, in business. And we've done it right in business at times. But I tell you, the whole time that you're at it, you're fighting off fear and doubt and insecurity and all the stuff. So I love it when people like yourself, who you get the snapshot of success, and you know, and that's real. Like, I mean, you know, you did things as a footballer that we only dream of. But I love it when blokes drop back and go, okay, that's the snapshot, but here's the whole story. It doesn't lessen the success. No. It doesn't lessen who you are as a guy. Actually, in my view, it makes me respect people more like that, because you're helping the everyday Joe Blow like us to realise, you know what, he's good, but I didn't know he went through that. What? People go through that. I thought it was just me. Yeah. I love it, mate. I just think it's so good. Yeah,
we're all fallible in some way, shape or form. Even the toughest forward, you know, someone like a Shane Webke or whatever. I remember talking to Wayne Bennett once, like an interview, and when he was coaching Newcastle, and I asked him whether what front rowers were his best front rowers, and he doesn't like questions like that. He doesn't believe in best, whatever. But he said he knows a couple of players that did a really good job for him and the team. Shane Webke was one of those when he was at the Broncos. He said he had a tertiary score of 550 out of 600 or something. He was a smart man, but he wanted nothing to do with the toughness of the game. Yeah. He said to Wayne, I'll bend the line I'll run it up and I'll play the ball real quick and I'll hopefully take a couple of players out for you and you can play off the back of that. And and he also said he was just a soft guy, you know, just off the field, such a soft guy, but he wanted to be a part of that war on the footy field.
Yeah.
But wanted nothing to do, like a halfback has a different feeling when they're about to play. It's more flighty, and where a front row's got to think a bit about war and all that sort of stuff. But he was such off the field, he was such a soft, unassuming guy, you know. And it's just, everyone's got their different battles in life, and you just approach them, you don't realise what sort of, what makes them tick to get to that point.
Yeah.
Everyone's gone through whatever they've gone through.
Everyone's gone through something, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%. It's never just clean and beautiful and wonderful,
No, it isn't. Yeah, it's funny, I read a book years ago, I think it was Simon Sinek, I forget which book it was, but he talks about the older generation, you know, like they call it the great generation. I think it was 20s, 30s, 40s. And so those guys were known for, and, you know, mate, no generation's perfect, you know, we're not saying that, but those guys were known for their character. So your parents, like your word was your bond, you know, like you understood the power of reputation, you know, you understood community, you understood family, and, you know, and there was a lot of honour given for those kinds of things, turning up to work, you know, doing your thing. And then things started shifting in the sort of 60s, 70s, 80s, where you went from character-based, for people being appreciated for character, for people having respect because of someone's character, to more charisma. So it's like reputation, bloody, you know, friends on Facebook, what you drive, what you wear, you know, what house you live in. And so you've gone from a generation of people that were respected for their character, who they were, to a generation of people that it was what you did and what you drove, and and you can see, can't you, how that's each into their own. But I love those. I love when we talk about things of character, because getting back to this thought on hand at heart, you as a footballer, you know, skill set, you're a mammoth of a human. Like, you know, I love the way you used to bump blokes off, but mindset. You know, it's awesome to know that a fellow like you and all that you've achieved, you know, there was things in your mindset that, you know, that if you get it right, you'll get it right, and if you don't, it bloody makes it hard. And then we've got that other dimension of character, and it's like the decisions that we make every day really make us, you know, professionally or personally or professionally.
100%.
And you can't escape it.
No, especially in those days of my mum and dad growing up and coming over to Australia and complete foreign land.
Mate, unbelievable.
They were both separated. Mum went to the Villawood detention centre. Oh, it wasn't a detention centre then, but it was a hostel or whatever. And Dad went down the Snowy River scheme that they had, the water scheme they had down there. And they were separated as soon as they got here. Couldn't speak much English. Well,
unbelievable.
Very little English. But the character in those days, for them to get through situations like that, it was amazing. That the characters then would have been, because there's no TV, there's no social media, there's no softness in it. You've got to just be in front of your life. And this is what we're doing. And they ran away from the war, and they came here, and they could have went to America, but they ended up here. But when you're talking about the character and the different decades, and it's so different now.
It is so important to talk about it, I think, because it's not like character's lost in our days. I'd hate for people to think that that's what I mean. Because character's a decision.
100%.
Isn't it, mate?
100%.
But why I love that we're sharing like this is because for it to be a decision, you have to know what your options are. And I feel like the only thing I'd say about today is I reckon we limit our options in life. So we're looking at Facebook, and again, we think, oh, that's what I want to be. I want to have the car, I want to have the house. But as well as all that, because that's nice to have, to be able to, you know, be a person of your word, you know, to be able to, like you're talking about with your parents. I think my grandfather, my pop actually, I don't think he saw his son until he was about 4, coming back from the war.
Okay, wow.
You know, my grandmother, my grandfather was he was a builder, and he got like debilitating arthritis in his 40s, and nearly makes me cry thinking about it. But so my grandmother, they had 7 kids,
Yep.
and my
Wow.
my grandfather couldn't work anymore, and so she's raising the kids. They bought a pub in country New South Wales, in Boggabri.
Right. Okay.
She ran the pub. Looked after the 7 kids. Some of those guys were older by then.
Yep.
But just the stories you see people go through, that it's inspirational.
It is. It is.
And I feel like sometimes these days we think that the good life is an easy life, but it's actually not, is it?
It's not. It's nothing like it used to be.
Yeah.
It's nothing like. Yeah, I mean, people go through their hardships and all that sort of thing. Family hardships and work hardships and all that sort of stuff. And that's all. Everyone's got to go through hardships. It's a matter of learning about those steps or whatever. But in those days, back in the day, amazing hardships nearly every day. Not only just with family and normal things, people dying or family dying or whatever, but just the hardships of going to work every day and not getting much for it.
Yeah, that's right.
And working to make ends meet more so, and we do that now. It's all there, but and then they had wars to contend with, and especially over in Europe and so forth. Australia's pretty much isolated for that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
the Europeans and that it would have been that hard to be growing up in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was actually just I did a workshop the other day, and I did a bit of homework on World War II, Winston Churchill and some of the speeches that he was giving the British public.
Yeah.
Mate, I think it was 59 nights, and I might have my facts here wrong, but 59 nights in a row they were bombed.
Wow.
They dropped, like on the United Kingdom in total, they dropped over 1 million bombs on them.
Wow.
I think it was 71 tonnes of bombs. And you know what? In the end, for whatever reason, Germany gave up bombing because they bombed and this is probably stuff but they bombed the British public because they knew that they couldn't get them in the air, and so they wanted to demoralise them. They wanted to break their spirit.
Yeah, right.
And I wouldn't say it was the only reason, but through Winston Churchill's fairly inspirational speeches and just them as a people, he didn't break their spirit. In fact, they became stronger for it.
Amazing,
and it gets back to that character thought, doesn't it?
Living in a place where you're getting bombed and you don't know whether you're going to get hit. You're waiting for it. You can hear the whistle.
Yeah.
But that desperation, and we just can't fathom that.
It'd be horrible, mate. And you're packing your kids off and sending them to the country. You're separated from family.
Yeah,
you're hiding in bunkers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, mate, I reckon that's still in the human spirit. I don't care what age it is, but I love talking about it because I feel like, again, it just gives people the opportunity to make that choice.
Yeah.
So what about you, mate? Obviously, you've reached the heights. You went through a tough time though in footy. Like, I mean, you were injured a fair bit, and how did you get through?
It was just that battle in my head every day.
Yeah.
To get to the point where I wouldn't come to training. I'd make an excuse to come to a training on a Tuesday or something like that. We played the game, and Tuesday night I lacked, for whatever reason, I lacked this mental toughness that I really needed to be in that type of game.
Yeah.
And as I got older, it sort of weighted a fair bit. And when I was 20, after the 83 grand final, 84, 85, I was sort of battling a little bit with my head. And then, just the team had completely changed in 86.
Yeah.
We had the mainstay there with Sterlo and Pricey and all those sort of guys, Mick Cronin.
Yeah.
Brett Kenny, Steve Ella. And, after that, it just sort of started going downhill for me more so, where I covered those things up by being around such a great team. They motivated me and gave me confidence.
Yeah.
Where it started, I had to get confidence for myself, And I really struggled with that. I struggled to find it. Yeah.
Well, they kind of give players support these days, don't they? I think.
I think
to the best they can.
Yeah.
You got to believe yourself, though, don't you?
Yeah, and a lot in those days you don't talk. You don't talk about those things. Yeah, no. It was just a little thing that you have in your own head.
That's right.
And nowadays, I think they ask the question more so, and they've got teams that sort of look after that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Would you have called it self-doubt and sort of in that arena, or would you have called it like a depression, mate, or would you?
Yeah, it's a good question actually, because there was depression that came with it.
Yeah.
So it was definitely self-doubt. And the depression was always there. I think back now, and I think you don't talk of it as depression. You don't think of it as depression, but it was all there. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of lumps into the same family, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we talk, to your point, we talk about depression and that so much more now. I mean, I essentially grew up in the 90s as a teenager and young adult, and they weren't talking about anything like that then. I feel like, mate, I'm not anywhere near an expert on this, and I must admit I've struggled with a lot of self-doubt, a lot of fear.
Yep.
I don't know that's transferred into depression, but I feel like we talk about it a lot today. I don't know that we really arm young people with the tools so much to be able to rise above it, as much as just acknowledge that this is what is happening in my life.
Yep.
And I'm sure the professionals out there are. But, mate, would you say you've overcome it? Have you got some tools in the tool bag that you've learnt since then that have made you stronger for it?
Yeah, just some very natural stuff, and on YouTube and all that sort of stuff, social media, you get little bits and pieces from motivators and stuff like that. But naturally it's sort of as you get older, you get a little bit wiser. You don't think of those things as much as you did anymore. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not in a competitive sport or anything like that, but you just every day the normal thought that comes up in your head, that's silly. It's silly. Why
am I thinking like this? Exactly right.
It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It's negative and all that sort of stuff. So I'm jumping on it straight away now. Where you could, back in the day, for me, you let it sit there and you think, what's that about?
Well, that's a real tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love. There's this scripture in the Bible that talks about taking your thoughts captive.
Yeah. And
the concept's this, if you don't take your thoughts captive, they'll take you captive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, just wrestle them a little bit.
Yeah.
Fight with them. Like, make sure that you know what you're thinking is going to lead to good things.
Yeah, they used to, the thoughts used to override me. They used to win the battle now.
Yeah.
And now they're in there for a minute and
Gonskis.
Get them out.
Well done, mate. There's this other really good quote that I love, and you probably heard of it. I think it's John Maxwell. He says, you're not what you think you are.
Oh, that's a great statement.
Isn't it?
Yeah, go on. I forget it, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to forget it too, I think. But it's like, you're not what you think you are, but what you think you are.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one. Who said that? Who was that?
That was John Maxwell.
Okay, there's another one that goes a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
I'll find it and show it to you.
Yeah, have a look. Yeah, look, I mean, again, they're just the tools, aren't they? Just little things like that.
Yep.
And, I know for me, like, I tell my story a bit, but, we bought a building business. I was a builder. So your skill set, hand, head, heart, skill set, mindset, character. Skill set was, well, I wouldn't say pretty well sorted. You're always learning stuff. But I bought a building business because I knew we could get this done and we could build nice homes for our clients and all that kind of stuff. 5 years in, I'm looking to get out.
Yeah, right.
Gonskis. And we owed a lot of money. We bought a business. We didn't just walk into it. We sold everything.
Was that Newcastle?
This was in Tamworth, actually.
Oh, okay.
And so it's not as if we didn't have enough on the line. But I would have done anything to escape.
Yeah, right.
But, mate, exactly what you're saying, really what was going on was I was just actually losing the battle in the mind.
Yep.
Because it's that hand, head, heart, skill set, mindset, character. I didn't understand that.
Yep.
What if you don't grow as a leader or if you don't grow as a person, what you lead shrinks.
Yeah.
And what I took on a building business was sort of this big.
Yeah.
And I was that big. And that's not even a problem as long as I'm wanting to grow. But all I'm doing is seeing the problems and the mistakes and the fear and the doubt.
Before that, did you see yourself as a leader?
No.
No?
I absolutely didn't, mate. It's funny because we all grow up with naturally strong leaders.
Yep.
So there's a dynamic. It's a really good thought, that, mate, because I think there's a dynamic. We've all heard the question, are leaders born or made?
Yep.
Now, I feel like the question's a really silly one because the answer is they're definitely made.
Yep.
Everyone learns stuff.
Yeah.
But we all grew up with guys who were natural leaders, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I was never a natural leader.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't even say I'm a leader now. I mean, we do leadership stuff, but I don't think it's natural. I don't think I've had to learn it.
You're right.
But, mate, that was the problem, though.
Mm.
I stepped into a I was a worker's mindset and stepped in a leadership position, whether I liked it or not.
Yep.
And so people were looking to me for guidance, and I was hardly getting through myself. You know?
Yep.
But the only reason I mention all that is because of that fear and doubt. And anyway, you end up making decisions that are the opposite of what you really want.
Yeah.
The opposite of what you're hoping to achieve,
Yep.
but you just need to escape.
Yeah.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Escape's the word, isn't it?
It
You're
is.
thinking you're hiding, but you can't run away from it. It's always there. You can put it under another thought somewhere there, or
But it comes up.
It rises again. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the leaders in your life, mate. I mean, you worked with some of the best. Jack Gibson, for one.
Yeah, I had them everywhere, mate, and that's probably why, if I was going to be a leader, I got pretty lazy in that period of time because there was leaders everywhere. But it wasn't my personality anyway.
No.
But I was very lucky, mate, to be. Jack Gibson was something else, you know. He would talk in riddles.
Yeah, right.
But then, like he told Peter Sterling one particular day, Sterling came up to him and said, "I need to work on my kicking game. Jack, what do you suggest? You know, where can I go better at it?" And he said, "The boy Sterling, kick to the seagulls." Still was waiting for this big, and with Jack, you're always waiting for this big psychological message or statement of some sort. And he said, "Kick to the seagulls." And Peter thought, okay. And they talked a little bit further, but didn't say much about the kicking side of things. Still, they went away, and then a few weeks later, we were playing a team at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah.
And still, I saw the... there was no human near a flock of seagulls that were, standing on the ground, from behind the defensive team. And clicked.
Unbelievable.
So he kicked at the seagulls. So he kicked away from anywhere there was a human.
Yeah.
So he kicked in open paddock, So
You probably scored the try too, did you?
no. This is in normal play where it was just a normal kick in play to get down there into the field. Kicked to this flock of seagulls, they were there, and it all sort of fell into place. And Jack was like that. Jack was just so good at, like the first grand final we made in '81. That week leading up to the grand final was the same as the week leading up to the first premiership game that year.
Yeah,
everything was the same. It was
so he's methodical.
So he started his thing we had to do, and it was the same. He took us away from the pressures of the journalists and all that sort of stuff, the media. And the week seemed so like there was no grand final.
Yeah, it just took the pressure off.
He said the game, the field is the same as Leichhardt Oval.
Yeah.
We played Leichhardt Oval. That's the same size as the Sydney Cricket Ground one is. It's a grand final. It's got a different heading on it. But it's the same. You've got to do the same things in that game as you would do in any other game to win the game.
Yeah, right.
And it might be just a little bit more intense because of the build-up around it and that sort of stuff. But he was so simplistic.
Is that right?
So simplistic. And he just had this ability you walk through the door and you just had to, if you're talking to someone like I'm talking to you, you'd have to stop and just let him walk in and see what he does first and then and maybe continue the talk, He was just commanded respect.
Yeah, okay.
But simplicity was the order of the day. And then on the footy field, Ray Price just led by example, Steve Edge. They were just great leaders.
Yeah.
And spoke well before a game, didn't talk trash, they spoke well. Peter Sterling was a natural leader.
Was he?
Brett Kenny had leadership qualities. Steve Ella was the same too. So I had leaders all over the place. I just learnt so much, but it didn't sit there for me to use it later on in life.
Yeah. Yeah, so talk to us more about Jack. So was he a people manager? Did he sort of draw the best out of you, or was he I think back to the 80s, and you see all the head slapping and and then potentially screaming and shouting and the 15k road runs, and he was ahead of his game though, wasn't he? He was a thinker. He was in the NFL, I think, before anybody probably ever knew it was existed. Yeah. So he's very tactical, I imagine. Was he a man manager as a leader?
Yes, and that. Well, when you say tactical, no, he wasn't.
He wasn't?
No, there wasn't all these elaborate moves, and this is what we thought when he was first signed with the club.
Yeah, okay.
Thinking, this is going to be all this technical, scientific stuff, it was again, it's just so simplistic.
He just broke the game down.
Just break it down, but he wouldn't throw a blanket over the team. If he'd always treat you as you are.
Yep.
I was never a long distance runner, so I had to do the long distance running that we had to do. But he understood that I didn't handle it as well as someone else that had a good motor like Ray Price and could run 15Ks and still look like he's not tired, you know. Where I'd have nightmares before we'd have a 15K run or whatever the night before. And, so he didn't throw a blanket over the team. He treated everyone individually.
Did he?
That was the magic of it, you know. And he never raised his voice. There was never if he was dirty on us that we didn't play well, we got booed or whatever. There was a rating system that we had on a Tuesday night at training. He rates you out of 10, and he wouldn't really. If he had to have a talk to you, he'd talk to you. And,
okay.
But he'd rate you out of 10, and if you got a 6 out of 10, you know that's no good.
Yeah.
And I remember once that he dropped me. I had a pretty ordinary week. Eric Jr. had meningitis and he was in hospital. It was a bit scary, and I didn't come to training a couple of times anyway. I was still in the team and had an ordinary game against the Bulldogs, and I didn't tell anyone about the situation at home, but he grabbed me after the game. We got beat by 1 point. And he said, "You look." Oh, this was at training, sorry, on a Tuesday. He said, "Boy, Grothe, come over here," and he's just far away from you.
Yeah.
You got problems at home? No, I didn't tell him anything about it.
Yeah.
No. I said, "Okay, you got problems at work?" No, everything's good at work. Okay. Well, introduce yourself to the reserve grade coach. I went, okay. So that's his way of dropping me.
Yeah.
He said, actually, no, go down to the under-23s. I was still young enough to play for the under-23s, 22 I was or whatever. And, that was his way. But never, look, you played like this, you played shit, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. There was none of that.
No.
It was a rating out of 10, and then if he didn't like what you were doing, he'd come and talk to you.
Would you say that it sounds to me that he's kind of wanting you to rely on team for one, but then also on your own self-motivation, I imagine.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if he rates you, imagine, well, that's actually part of leadership, isn't it?
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
right.
It's actually fascinating. It's why I like to talk about it. It's like, how do we get the best out of each other? How do we get the best out of people? It's not berating each other.
No, that's
we
right.
already know what we're bloody bad at.
Yeah.
You know, we already know that we failed.
Yeah.
So how you would have played under a couple of different coaches.
Yep.
How different were the ones? Who did you play under firstly, and then how different were they, and why?
Yeah, Terry Fernley.
Okay.
Was the first one, and then John Peard.
Yeah. Okay.
Then Jack, and then John Money took over from Jack.
Mm-hmm.
They were the main ones. I had lower grade coaches. Terry Fernley's brother, Ron Fernley. They were very similar human beings, and Terry Fernley was a bit like a Jack, very soft spoken, and you know, you could be comfortable in front of him and he wouldn't berate you and all that sort of stuff. And he was good. You wanted to play for Terry. And then Jack was again another level where he had so much respect anyway.
Yeah.
You just wanted to listen to what he had to say. And when I say throw the blanket over the whole team, everyone was different, and he was fantastic in picking what sort of personality you are. So he knew my personality in some way.
Yeah.
He knew Sterlo's personality. He knew what he could get and what he could expect and all that sort of stuff. So he gelled it all perfectly. Because we all ended up there in 81, and you know, halfway through the season we started believing we could do this.
Yeah.
And it was all growing from the way that he did things. And you said before tactical, he was never really tactical. He had one particular move called the wall, which ended up being a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, was that where Sterlo was in behind the?
Yeah, and he got belted a couple of times. But he wasn't greatly tactical in that sense. I mean, he didn't have to be, because he knew that what we were individually capable of anyway.
It's funny because when we think about leadership, we make it very complicated, but essentially it's just knowing people, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It sounds like, you know,
That's
obviously
it.
in this case, it's knowing people. It's then knowing how to get the best out of people, where to put them. You know, it's
being on their level.
Yeah,
in some way,
and caring about them too. Of course, 100%. You know.
Yeah, he's off. it was very important for him to look after you off the field. And then if you were happy off the field, then you're definitely going to be happy on the field.
Yeah.
So he would really look after you off the field and ask you questions about your family and how's things going, all that sort of stuff. You know?
Yeah. And you mentioned something before, mate. You want to play for guys like that, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. You just had that respect, you know, and you just, I want to.
You don't want to let them
prove
down.
something. Yeah, you don't want to let them down. That's the word. Yeah.
Yeah. That could be another thing I think that that haunted me a little bit is the fear of failure, not wanting to let anyone down.
Yep.
And so you kind of anticipate. What I found is that you make your world small because that way you can control it.
Yeah, 100%.
And then, so we have this thing now called the process of hope. The reason we call it the process of hope is because hopelessness is not full-blown despair necessarily.
Yep.
Sometimes it can just be not hoping for anything, just not daring to dream. It's just like make your world small.
Yeah.
That way you can control it.
Yep.
But if you're ever going to achieve anything big in life, you actually need to dream big. You need to live in that gap where you're hoping for things and you might fail.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that drove me mad. I don't know about you as a footballer, you're already achieving great things, but there's always a risk of failure, isn't there, mate?
Oh, 100%. And we were lucky enough that success was pretty much there all, at least 75-80% of the time. So when it changed as the years went on, we were starting to lose more games. So this confidence had to come from me rather than from someone else more so.
Yeah, generate. And this is that thought with this process of hope that we've got, right? So it's like we need to be able to generate hope as part of our culture and our character.
Yep.
Because if you wait for it as a feeling, it won't be there when you need it most.
No, exactly.
Because hope actually evades us when we need it most.
Yep.
Because hope is that time in the middle where we're anticipating and wanting and desiring, but there's no signs of it turning up. It's like, it's like not winning a game for 12 months. You wonder if you're ever going to win again.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very tough. So who coached you at the New South Wales and Australia level?
Frank Stanton was the...
Yeah, okay.
Also, who else was there? I forget his name. He passed away just recently. I shouldn't forget his name. Terry Fernley at one stage there too. It was mainly those two guys, and the other guy I can't remember now.
Yeah.
He coached South. Ron Willey.
Okay.
Ron Willey, and so again in those situations it wasn't so much who the coach was, it was the players around you and what it was growing into.
Yeah.
So it needed a lot of leaders. So when I first got picked for State of Origin, I felt a little bit, not the first game, but in 83, 84 when we were expecting to maybe beat Queensland.
Yeah.
It became, I got a little bit lost, where I was used to the leadership at Parramatta. There was leadership there, but I probably didn't put my trust in them as much as I probably should have or whatever. Yeah. So that's when it started really magnifying that my confidence was down.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because they had confidence in you, mate. They just
like
give Eric the ball.
I didn't realise that. Yeah, I didn't realise that. If I'd had some sort of realisation of that, which was pretty silly for me not to think that, but yeah, that would have been much better for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it, mate? It's that's the problem. It's like we don't see in ourselves what's really there or what's potentially there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mate, and again, I appreciate this. I know you've spoken about this before, but for me, I feel like it's a godsend because, again, we're talking about human beings here across the board, whether it be business or sport or family. Yep. Part of character is to being able to face yourself in the mirror and be able to deal with your shortcomings while not staying in them, and being able to, contribute where you need to, just show up in team or family or whatever.
Absolutely. And a lot of that is letting go of yourself.
Yeah, good thought.
Letting yourself go and not being the centre of attention. You then put your energies to helping someone or doing something outside of you that means you don't get any reward.
Yeah.
There was a period of time about 6-7 years ago that I was living out at Strathfield near Sydney there, and we did some volunteer work. And that's probably one of the best things I ever did.
Wow.
Just giving older people or people who are struggling meals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that happened once and once a week. Did that for a couple of years, and that was letting go of yourself and not, hang on, stop thinking of yourself and stop worrying about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're worried about what someone else is doing, and you do it for free, and you don't do it to get anything back from it. And that's one of the best things I think anyone can do.
Yeah.
To realise themselves and understand that there's more to it than just yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, being able to, that's interesting. Being able to give back. I remember when I was first, we had kids, you're really young.
Yep.
So I think I was 19. You would have been pretty young too, if Eric Jr. How old were you when you first came?
20.
20, yeah, so I was 19. That's a rude shock, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah, absolutely.
Becoming a parent,
You've got to grow up quick there.
Natty, my beautiful wife, who's put up with me all these years, she was even younger than I was. And so we our family's, our most prized possession. It's like everything to us. But when I was first a dad, I remember thinking, I idolised my old man. And when you grow up and become a father yourself, you don't realise that somebody could look up to you like that.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, this is the problem, because you don't realise it, you don't step into that position like you should.
Yep, that's right.
It's getting back to that.
Identifying that. Yeah.
That's right. It's like, whether that's on the footy field, whether it's in a team situation with work, or whether it's in a family situation as a father or a mother. I remember that feeling. That was horrible, because it was like, well, of course my young fella loves me like I love my dad,
Yeah.
But you just don't realise it, especially when you're young.
Yep.
Yeah. It'd be good to be able to go back sometimes and talk to yourself back when you're younger and like, snap out of it, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I look back at a lot of those things and think, you made it so difficult for yourself, and it didn't have to be that difficult. You're going to go through. Life is not meant to be easy. We go through those times, and it's about learning from that and growing from that. And it's always going to be there. No human on earth has ever had a perfect life.
Yeah, that's right.
We've all got to go through trials and tribulations.
Yeah, that's right. No, we don't have perfect lives, and we're not perfect people, eh?
No.
It's not even the goal, is it?
No, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's it's just being able to just turn up and give your best, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. So you mate, you played for Australia, you played in the Invincibles. How was that? Like, I mean, you guys you were invincible, of course, that's why you call the Invincibles, but that was some team.
Yeah, mate, that was
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing for my name to be read out to play for Australia. And again, for me, there was the moment of the bubblegum card, the player.
Yeah.
Here I am on the plane and having a few beers and playing cards with guys like Ian Schubert, Chris Anderson, Rod Reddy, players that I had these bubblegum cards, and I used to think, how good are these guys, And there I was rooming with one of them, Ian Schubert, and he was just the best bloke. And to be a part of that and to go through undefeated, and the team prior in '78 had some dramas with the referees. They were very biased referees, and they lost a couple of games, but we won every game, and that was such a great experience.
Yeah,
and leaders everywhere there. That was just fantastic. Yeah.
Well, mate, I think you scored. I was just reading before. You scored something like, I won't get the stats right, mate, but out of 20-something tries out of 14 games or something like that?
I think it was 21 tries, yeah.
Wow. So how many months? Was that 3 months?
3 months, yeah. 2 months in England and 1 month in France.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's fantastic, yeah.
And so when we think back of players like that was that before Wally Lewis, or was that...
Wally was there too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
He would have been a leader. He would have been a player.
Yes,
obviously he was. But
definitely
playing with him.
Yeah. He actually Brett Kenny knocked him off his perch there when he was. There was a couple of tests in '81 and '82 leading up to the Kangaroo Tour, and Wally was the 5'8".
Yeah.
And Brett played so well that in '81, '82, and then he knocked him off lost his place at 5'8". Wally was on the reserve bench. But yeah, Wally was a great leader. They were all fantastic leaders. It was a real, to be part of that was magical.
Yeah. How many blokes went on tour?
It was 28.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Did they all get a run?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, we played club teams
Yep.
on the weekend, and then a club team middle of the week.
Yeah.
So there was 3 games in a week.
Right.
So, and leading up to the test, and then what they called the kangaroos and the emus. If you weren't playing in the test,
Yeah.
you were considered an emu.
Yeah,
It's a
okay.
bit of fun banter amongst the guys or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was special.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
special.
no, mate, absolutely. And you retired, what, in 89, was that right?
Yeah, beginning of 90.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did the pre-season. I wasn't looking after my knee. My knee was just getting swollen and a lot of inflammation and stuff like that. And I was a lazy trainer,
Yeah.
lazy mentally, and I didn't look after it off the field as much as I should have.
Yeah.
And probably could have played a few more years if I just maybe swam a little bit more and just worked on and kept the weight off it and all that sort of stuff. But as it turned out, yeah, beginning of 90, and I was really wanted. Mick Cronin was coach, was appointed coach
Yeah.
in 1990, and did pre-season and played a trial match against the Bulldogs at Granville Park, which was our training ground when Cumberland was getting fixed up.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to play under Mick because I just got such a big opinion of Mick.
Yeah.
Such a great bloke and a leader. And after the first trial match, I thought I had the demons in my head and
Yeah.
I just had no confidence and stuff. And I would then blame the knee. The knee was pretty ordinary anyway, but I'd push that thought down to the knee. Think, yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of 90. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And how were the years after footy, mate? I know I imagine that's hard enough at the best of times. You know, you've just played every couple of nights you're going and catching up with. Well, back then, was it every day footy training, or was it only a couple of times a
No,
week?
two or three nights a week.
Was it? Yeah. So you got that camaraderie and you got that discipline going on, and then all
Yep.
of a sudden you got none of that.
Yep.
How were the next couple of years?
Yeah,
How was it?
My first year and a half or so, I felt okay. I was really happy not to have the battles in my head anymore, so that took me away from that. So that I felt like the weight had been lifted for me there mentally. And then, I had some withdrawals and stuff like that. I go watch them play. Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny were still playing, but the rest of the team, there was no one from the 86 team that was still playing other than Sterlo and Brett. I started having some struggles, and like the camaraderie, as you said, you miss that. You don't see them as much. And there was some depressive times there.
Yeah.
It was like, because you also lost you kept thinking about how the success and how the percentage of success that we had in the early 80s. And then it was starting to really fade. We weren't winning much in 80, 88, 89. We started missing out on the 5 and all that sort of stuff. And so you're wanting that success, and you're a bit sad that success is not there because you're old, you can't do that anymore. And so that sits with you and hits you pretty hard sometimes, And then there was a few years of that, I think, and then as your life progresses and you do different jobs or whatever, it sort of fades. And then you get back to seeing everyone again because everyone's retired, so you're doing the reunions, so it brings you back into that zone.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing, isn't it? With I don't know, people. It's hard to live without purpose.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's a funny thing with say footballers. You guys you do it all before you're 30, really.
Yeah.
And there's just no way on this planet that a person that's the sum total of a person. You know, get to 30 and then you've seen the highlight of your life. I mean, that's just, So purpose is one of those things, isn't it, to be able to carry us into our future that, without that, it's one of those things that we need a reason to keep going. They call it a why these days.
Yep.
A reason to keep going.
Yep. My son struggled with it too.
Yeah,
actually.
okay.
Yeah, he went through that harder than I thought he would.
Okay.
Yeah, he went through that period of time. But I think every player goes through that.
Just to wrestle.
Where
with
is
that.
everybody?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's it. I heard a story. I tell this story a bit. I forget where I tell the stories I tell. So somebody who might listen to this said, "Mate, you said that last time." But a mate of mine. He walked Kilimanjaro, and
wow.
yeah, massive. I mean, you know, damn, that's hard enough. But anyway, he while he was on that, he ran into a guy who had done Everest.
Oh, wow, again.
Yeah.
Wow, more wow.
Yeah, and the guy was a bit of an older fella, and he said to him, "Mate, would you ever do it again?" And he said, "Oh, no, I couldn't do it again." And it wasn't that he didn't have the experience or, you know, the ability, skill set, you know. What he said, getting back to this hand, head, heart, essentially what he broke it down to is, I wouldn't have a why. I don't know that you use those words, but if you're halfway up Everest, you probably want to know why you're doing it. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like having a purpose to do stuff. And obviously the first time he did it, he had that real grit to be able to get to the top.
Yeah, yeah.
And then everything he needed, the recipe was there to be able to do it again, but except for the main one.
Yeah, okay.
The why to keep going.
It's amazing. It's like that walk they do over in New Guinea, is it? What's that?
Oh, the Kokoda Trail.
Anzac Kokoda Trail?
Yeah.
Apparently that's as hard as you could want to do anything.
Would you do it?
Would
your knees be able to do it?
Yeah. Knee be okay now. I'd consider it now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, mate, we should talk about it because I've got a mate of mine who does it every year.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he runs he doesn't actually run what do you call it, like a tour guide or anything like that, but I think he's part of a group that goes every year.
Yeah.
One of his mates, I think it was Cameron Baird, died obviously in action, and he was a really good mate of his. He's done a lot of work, you know, charity-wise, to be able to help out the commandos and that have come back from seeing action, and he does it every 12 months. And oh, mate, I can't believe they do it once, let alone every 12 months.
Absolutely, that's amazing. But yeah, I'd give it some deep thought to want to do something like that. You need to put yourself in something like that to get an idea, you know, what these people went through, and because you can do that walk and you know at the end of it everything's going to be all right.
Yes.
Where they were walking and not knowing what was happening anyway, you know, didn't know where they were.
That's right. I mean, we do it now for a challenge. They did it to save their life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And following orders.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, that's it. I actually had the opportunity to do it years ago. My wife was, you know, trying to get me to do it. I had to come with the GJ guys that were all going to do it together. And I didn't have a why. You know, I thought, I'm going to be 3 days in, because I'm a softie, like, give me a hotel room in the night and I'll do whatever. But and I was like, I just don't know if I can do it. But more and more I think about it, I want to, you know, I feel like just the old challenge of being able to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, there's another one I'd like to do. There's a couple actually. There's the Overland Track at Tasmania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. I think that's about 5 or 6 days. So Natty and I, we went around Australia a couple of years ago, and we were on part of the Overland Track, and this 80-year-old guy started climbing up. This is Tassie, so it's virtually snowing in the middle of summer. Yeah, right. And this 80-year-old fella's cracking up this hill, and I thought, well, if he can do it.
Yeah. Motivation.
Yeah. And there's another one in Spain. I reckon it'd be a great walk. It's some walk that goes for ages anyway. Yeah, right. But I feel like it'd be good. Now, the reason that'd be good, mate, is because there's always little cafes and wineries all over the place. So that sounds like a good...
The Tasmanian one sounds like the softest one.
Yeah, I reckon you're probably right. Yeah, well, maybe the Spain one's the softest one, but that's probably more up my alley. We sleep in a bed every night and have a cup of tea in the morning. Yeah. Well, mate, look, this has been amazing. What would you, just as we finish and wrap up, what would you say to yourself now, after all the years you've lived? What would you say going back to a young Eric Grothe starting his career?
Wow. I would say I'd probably slap him.
Yep.
And say it's not as tough as you think it's going to be.
Yeah. Okay.
And prove nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Just be yourself. You don't have to prove to be anything other than yourself.
Yep.
And it's not as, when you think back, it's nowhere near as tough as you think it's going to be looking forward.
Yeah. Yep. And you've got what it takes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you have, mate. You've got what it takes. You're an amazing player. I was just watching a bit of footage just recently, and the way you were bumping blokes off. Yeah.
Thanks,
You
mate. Mate, as I said, the confidence came from the players that I had around me. It was amazing. So I was very lucky.
Yeah. Hey, I know we said we'd finish, but your family, how many kids you got?
2 boys, Daniel and Eric. Yeah.
Yep.
Eric's going well. Everything's
great.
good. Daniel's got three kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's going well too.
Yeah. And obviously Eric played.
Yep.
Yeah, played for
I was
Parramatta.
very
You
proud
mentioned
of-
him before.
Yeah, very proud of what he did and stuff. And
I'm really
he had
agree.
similar issues than I had too, mental attitude and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
but he played in a different era. His work rate was 1,000 times mine.
Yeah.
In my day, the winger didn't have to come in and make a run, or he was doing the big runs. He'd do 20 runs a game.
Yeah.
Coming off the line, big tough runs, getting bashed by forwards and that. But he in one game he did more runs than I did in the whole year.
Yeah, right.
It was such a different game. He played in a lot in a tougher era in regards to being involved in the
The
game.
wingers coming in.
Yeah.
It was probably about the time that the wingers started getting involved more. Probably about.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Wendell Saylor and that, wasn't it? Started coming in and,
That's right.
and really doing the work of a forward. Yeah, really good. Well, mate, you know what? I feel like today we've touched a nerve. I feel like with people that, again, we want to look at success as something that's like a snapshot, but we need to be able to look behind the scenes and go, okay, this is the reality of it.
Yep.
So this is going to be the last question I ask you, mate. What would you say to somebody else out there who's, doing it tough, got all the fear and doubt that you had, and, looking at a bloke like yourself who's got all the success? What would you say to them, in regards to just, being able to just to take the next step?
Believe in God.
Yeah, good.
And it's not as well. It's tough. Life is tough, and there's going to be issues and problems. And if you can have an attitude that you're going to get better because of those problems, those issues. No matter what it is, you're going to learn from that, and they'll make you stronger. And when you get older and wiser, you look back and you can help someone else do the same thing. So it's life is life, and you just go for it. Go for it. Don't play life before it happens.
Yes.
Stay in the moment and go forward.
I love that. That's really good. Thanks,
Good.
mate.
Good
Thank
on
you for your
Dan.
time.
Thank
brother.
you.
Good on
Thanks,
you.
man.